So yeah, so today we're going to talk about why divine feminine affects every man that she comes in contact with, right? And I want to talk to you guys a little bit about self-closure, right? And I want to talk to y'all about spiritual narcissism. Okay, so we gonna roll that all up into this here Feminine Fridays. Okay, so the reason why divine feminine affects every man that she comes in contact with is because she's a motherfucking divine. Duh. She is divine, right? So that means she is spiritually protected. The universe loves her. And God has his hand on her life, right? So you can't just come into a divine feminine's life and not be affected, right? For the good or the bad. But most times you're going to be affected for the good. But if you choose to cross her, then you might get a little bit into the bad. Because if you cross her, then God is going to have to deal with you. And that's just real, like, I'm saying it in, like, a jokey way, but that's just real shit, y'all. A lot of times men come across divine feminines and they feel like they could treat a divine feminine the same way they would any other female that they came in contact with. And then they realize that they cannot, because there is a price to pay whenever you screw over somebody that is divine. And that goes for men and women. Like, y'all know I don't discriminate, but we just talking about divine feminists today. So a lot of times divine feminines, when they come in contact with the opposite sex, whether it's dating, whether it's platonic, her ability to be loving and forgiving, unconditional in her love, she's very nurturing, things of that nature, that has an effect on people. She's very giving, right? That is going to have an effect on people. And just the fact that a divine feminine is going to be, she's not going to be like anybody you ever came in contact with, right? So she has that effect on people because she's divine. She's sent from heaven, right? She's, what do I say? She's kissed. She's kissed by God, right? So with that being the case, if you screw over a divine feminine, we ain't going to stay on the negative side, but if you choose to screw over somebody that is a divine feminine, trust and believe God's going to deal with you, right? So that is one way that she affects every person that she comes into contact with. Because if you choose not to do right by her, then, you know, there is a price to pay for that, right? Also, the fact that she is just, she's going to be different from anybody else that you have ever come into contact with, right? And there's many divine feminines in the world, on the planet, in the universe, right? But it's not a lot. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to come across a divine feminine every day of your life, right? I can only speak for myself with certain things, right? And with the divine feminine comes karma. And if you choose to screw her over or do her wrong, God is going to make you pay the price for that, right? Now, a divine feminine knows that she doesn't have to be out for revenge because she knows that God is the avenger, right? And she knows that if she came from a church background or a biblical background, she knows that vengeance is the Lord's. So she doesn't have to be sneaky, be deceptive. She doesn't have to exert her own revenge if things don't work out for her. She knows that God is going to take care of anything that she can't take care of. Okay. That is also where self-closure comes into play, because with self-closure, a lot of times those of us who are dealing with people that are narcissistic, they don't like to give you closure in a relationship, and they do that so that you can always be hanging on to them, so that you can always feel like you have unfinished business, or you can just, like, the relationship always ends very suddenly. It always ends with some type of abandonment or some type of I'm not calling you, some type of ghosting or something of that nature. And it makes it hard for you to be able to formulate what exactly happened. So that's when we get into self-closure. And I wanted to talk to you guys about that. Self-closure is basically whenever you realize that, like, okay, the relationship is over. They're not going to give me the closure that I want or need. So I have to find closure within myself, right? I have to come to terms with how things ended. And a lot of times, like, the way to find self-closure is to realize that, like, okay, so regardless to anything, this relationship is not working out for me. Like, what is it that I'm looking for in a relationship, a person, out of life, right?